People want to know about D'Angelo and I. I mean, my life does not start or stop with D'Angelo. Life goes on. It was going on before I met him. It will continue to go.
The music industry, often viewed through the lens of glamour, success, and fame, hides a dark and murky world behind the scenes. D'Angelo, the soulful crooner who rose to fame in the 90s, and Angie Stone, the powerful voice in R&B, both have had their share of public acclaim and personal struggles. But the relationship between the two, particularly during their controversial affair when D'Angelo was just 19 and Angie Stone was already an established artist in her 30s, has raised many eyebrows. This video explores the complicated relationship between D'Angelo and Angie Stone, the rumors, the tragic turn of events, and the unsettling questions that remain unanswered. Was their relationship one of mentorship, or was it a form of manipulation? Was Angie blackballed by the industry, and was her tragic death really an accident, or was it something far darker? The relationship, mentor or grooming. Angie Stone and D'Angelo's relationship began when he was just 19 years old, a teenager barely out of high school, while Angie was an established figure in the music industry. The age difference alone raised some red flags, but it wasn't just the age gap that was concerning. D'Angelo, who was still trying to find his place in the music industry, was involved with someone who had the power, fame, and connections to shape his career. Angie, well into her 30s, was already an industry veteran when she met D'Angelo. In 1998, they had a son together, further solidifying their relationship. However, behind the facade of this seemingly beautiful family was a growing tension. Sources suggest that the reason for their breakup was D'Angelo's alleged infidelity. While cheating is never justified, the real issue that was ignored at the time was the apparent power imbalance between them. D'Angelo, though legally an adult, was still emotionally and mentally a teenager, struggling with the pressures of his rising career, while Angie had already experienced a lot of life. Many fans and industry insiders began to speculate that Angie's relationship with D'Angelo wasn't just a mentorship. It looked more like a grooming situation. While D'Angelo was undoubtedly a talented young man, it was clear that he was still figuring himself out. Angie, on the other hand, was already well established, and her experience in the industry gave her a much stronger hold over the situation. The struggle of being overlooked, a power imbalance. What truly became the issue was the power imbalance in their relationship. Angie Stone had connections, financial stability, and the life experience that D'Angelo lacked. For many, this created a dynamic that was ripe for manipulation. While D'Angelo may have been physically an adult, science tells us that the human brain doesn't fully develop until the age of 25. This means that his ability to make sound decisions and control his impulses was still a work in progress at 19. Despite being thrust into the limelight, D'Angelo was still young and impressionable. Industry insiders have hinted that D'Angelo's team might have had concerns about the nature of his relationship with Angie. These concerns reportedly led to a growing tension between the two, culminating in accusations of Angie Stone's manipulative behavior, and the industry as a whole seemed to turn a blind eye, perhaps because D'Angelo's career was taking off, and their relationship was just another whispered secret in a world full of them. The song, "I Wish I Didn't Miss You Anymore," a bittersweet anthem. Following their breakup, Angie Stone's hit song, "I Wish I Didn't Miss You Anymore," quickly became a fan favorite, with many speculating that the song was inspired by her relationship with D'Angelo. The track captured the heartache of loving someone who wasn't able to return that love in the way that was expected. The breakup allegedly stemmed from D'Angelo's infidelity, which further raised questions about the integrity of their relationship. However, it's essential to look at the bigger picture. The true controversy was not about cheating, but about the relationship's inherently unequal nature. D'Angelo, though a legal adult, was still a young man who hadn't yet figured out who he was, while Angie had years of experience, connections, and resources at her disposal. The industry's silence. The consequences of speaking out. Angie Stone's career, though initially on the rise, started to decline after her split from D'Angelo. Rumors swirled about her being blackballed by the industry, and it wasn't just her relationship with D'Angelo that caused the controversy. Angie was outspoken about the mistreatment of black artists in the music industry, especially women, and she didn't hold back about the injustice she faced. Her grievances weren't limited to D'Angelo or their relationship, but extended to her dealings with major music labels. Angie Stone claimed that record labels, particularly J Records, had stifled her career, forcing her to alter her artistic vision. In 2005, after a series of creative disputes, Angie was released from J Records and subsequently signed with Stax Records. Despite her successful album, The Art of Love and War, she continued to face challenges in the industry, feeling overlooked and underappreciated. Tragic death and conspiracy theories. Was it a setup? Angie Stone's sudden and tragic death in 2023 raised even more questions. After a performance in Mobile, Alabama, she and her band were traveling in a Mercedes-Benz Sprinter van, headed toward Atlanta. The van overturned on Interstate 65 and was subsequently hit by a Freightliner semi-truck. The tragic incident resulted in Angie being the only fatality, despite the van being full of people. The circumstances surrounding her death have raised suspicion. How is it that, in a van full of people, Angie was the only one who didn't survive?
R&B singer Angie Stone has died in a car crash. We're told she had just finished a concert in Mobile, Alabama Friday, was heading to Atlanta when the van she was riding in crashed. It's still not clear why they crashed or how.
Some have suggested that there may have been foul play involved, with rumors swirling that the music industry, or certain powerful figures within it, may have had a hand in her demise. Angie Stone had a long history of speaking out against the industry, and we know that the industry has been known to silence those who speak too loudly. Could her sudden death be the result of the very forces she had been fighting against her entire career? The mysterious legacy, financial struggles, and industry manipulation. In the months leading up to her death, Angie Stone was vocal about financial issues she had been dealing with, particularly regarding Universal Music Group. She claimed that the label had been withholding royalties and mismanaging her earnings, a battle she had been fighting for years. Even while recovering from a severe blood infection, Angie was determined to get her financial records in order and fight for the money she believed she was owed. But this wasn't just about money, it was about her legacy. Angie Stone had been a pioneer in R&B music, and yet the industry seemed determined to overlook her contributions. Could her vocal activism about her finances and her career have led to her being silenced once and for all? Some believe that the mysterious circumstances of her death, combined with her financial struggles, point to a larger conspiracy at play, possibly orchestrated by those who wanted to suppress her voice for good. Diddy and Mary J. Blige, the messy web of industry connections. As if the drama surrounding Angie's career wasn't enough, other major figures from the music industry have been pulled into the mix. Mary J. Blige, for instance, allegedly took credit for Angie's work without ever publicly acknowledging her contributions. Angie had helped mentor Mary during her early days at Uptown Records, but Mary never expressed gratitude for Angie's role in her success. The relationship between Angie and Mary became strained, and accusations emerged that Mary had taken a song from Angie without permission, adding more fuel to the fire. Additionally, Diddy's name surfaced in the conversation, as Angie revealed that he had once asked her to pray with him. According to Angie, Diddy was grappling with personal issues and feared for his life following a tragic event. While the prayer session may have been innocent, some wonder whether this was a more significant moment, perhaps revealing Diddy's involvement in a much more complicated web of industry politics. A legacy of silence, secrets, and industry corruption. The story of Angie Stone and D'Angelo, though filled with music and romance, is also one of manipulation, power imbalances, and exploitation in the music industry. Angie, a seasoned artist, found herself in an inappropriate relationship with a much younger D'Angelo, one that ultimately led to heartbreak, financial struggles, and a tragic end. As the industry continues to turn a blind eye to such relationships, Angie's voice, once powerful, was muted. But with her passing, the truth about her life and legacy is finally coming to light. Was she a victim of a corrupt industry, or was her death the result of a far more sinister plot? The answers may never fully emerge, but one thing is clear. Angie Stone's story is one that deserves to be heard, and her legacy deserves to be remembered. And there you have it. What do you think really happened between Angie and D'Angelo? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you found this deep dive as eye-opening as we did, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring that notification bell so you never miss another story that goes beyond the headlines. Until next time, stay curious and stay woke.